Merrimack TV content may no longer be available on YouTube. To continue watching our programs, please download the Merrimack TV app from your device's app store. Programs may also be available at merrimacktv.com.
Okay, well, actually, that's what I'm going to do as the clerk. As the clerk, I'm going to call the meeting to order, because that's what we've done. We have precedent in that as the school district clerk, I call the meeting to order at 7:05. And Gina is, actually, she's not excused because she didn't contact anybody, but
Shame on her.
Well, it's our first meeting, so maybe she doesn't know she's supposed to do that.
I probably could have communicated that that's the decorum.
But maybe she doesn't
we have
know
a quorum.
it.
Yeah, I gave them copies of the bylaws, actually, when I swore them in.
Okay.
So,
Message
and,
was given by Tim.
yes, that's.
She gave it to Tim, and Tim was actually calling.
Okay, so, yeah, well, I'm not worried about that at all, but anyway, so just,
Our intent is to both be here as best we can.
Sure, stuff happens.
Well, that's why Finley and I call it date night.
it's been date night on this committee for a real long time when you come right down to it. That seems to be the trend and tradition.
But we have a 11-year-old, 9-year-old, and a 7-year-old. So that makes it hard sometimes.
And the 11-year-olds may be good for 45 minutes, but not with.
I would not leave
7
her.
You would
Oh
not.
my gosh. It'd be Lord of the Flies in a heartbeat.
All right, well, if we can move along so that we, just to start the reorganization and get this all, but on the other hand, a phone call to my house, because I have a babysitter that, a live-in babysitter,
Okay,
an adult,
okay,
that,
thank you.
well, Jennifer's the school treasurer, so she's. So we, first item of organization is we need a chair and a vice chair, and that's the reason I'm calling the meeting to order, because the chair and the vice chair did not run for re-election.
I'll nominate Tim for chair.
Okay,
So I nominate Tim for chair.
actually Finley did,
That's all I need is one nomination. It's not seconded.
yeah,
You already nominate him?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, all those in favor? Are you voting or
Abstaining.
abstaining? That's
Abstain.
what I thought. And are you abstaining, sir, or are you voting?
I vote, can I vote for myself?
Yes, you should vote for yourself.
Okay, I will vote for myself.
Okay.
That's something you teach kids.
You vote for yourself?
You vote for yourself. You teach them that in like student council, et cetera. Like, do you think the president of the United States doesn't vote for themselves? No,
They do.
vote for yourself.
Okay, so, the vice chair. Although I think by the bylaws, it's actually called the assistant chair, but we refer to it as the vice.
So then I'm allowed to make a nomination?
Yes.
Yes,
So if I wanted to nominate Finley to be the vice chair, I can do that?
yes.
Love to see like printed out bylaws so that I understand all this stuff.
Actually, you have the bylaws in your packet.
The things we got today, that's how your wish is her.
Ah!
There it is.
Didn't get there, thank
You're
you.
made for the chair. She already
Sweet.
provided that for you.
Sweet, thank you.
Maybe that's up.
Yeah, it's called the assistant chair in the bylaws. then. Are there any other nominations? All those in favor of Finley as vice chair? And he doesn't vote for himself.
I don't. I've always abstained myself.
I just
After
gave
hearing
just
that,
gave him the lecture. Vote for yourself
I would have
after that
abstained if I
lecture.
didn't feel pressured. No, I'm just kidding.
I've always abstained. I just.
So if you want to sit next to him, like, because that way, just to make sure,
It's
like, we
okay.
do.
It's all right.
No, don't be.
We'll figure it out.
Okay, the only other thing I want to tell you that is in your packet is your information. Please be sure that the information is accurate for the members. And Lori, I know you're not officially the school board liaison until next week at your meeting.
Or did you vote?
Oh, I'm not? Will I carry
Well,
over?
Yeah, as far as
I can
we're-
carry over.
Yeah, we
until
we went through the list at the last school board meeting
Yes,
for
we
liaison
went through
assignments.
it.
So you went
Yeah.
through it. I don't know
Yes.
if you voted on it or not.
No.
No, 'cause
So
I-
it'll be at the
that's
next meeting.
Well, I think
Monday.
there was a couple things that were in the air maybe, but I thought maybe we did say yes but
kinda
there
like
was just
going
a
on the
couple
consent
things
agenda,
that
yeah.
people were moving around
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, because I told her we need to know for the budget committee as well. So anyway, but having said that, then there was a set of minutes that needs to be approved from March 19th. Do you want to take over and go from there?
Sure, so then I would ask if there are any notes or adjustments to be made to the minutes?
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve the minutes as written?
I'll move the minutes, I don't know the date, but on
March 19th.
March 19th.
We need a second.
Second.
Okay.
All those in favor?
And then take a vote, yeah.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Okay. Opposed?
And those opposed? Sorry.
And anybody who's abstaining?
Abstain just
And
because he
abstain.
wasn't here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And we should take a minute at this time and introduce Donna. I know you met her at the last meeting, but she's official this time.
Hey, I'm official.
Welcome aboard.
Donna LaRue, hi.
Pretty mellow group.
Yeah, seems pretty mellow.
So that's prior minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So now we dig in, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so facility naming request. I know that we had a,
So I'm going to give the update on that. So the group came before the school board, and the school board took it after the first presentation under advisement. Lori Peters wanted to take some time and do her due diligence, check references, making sure that Coach Snell was, what everyone said he was. And we discussed also Pat McGrath, who was a major fundraiser and also in a supporting role. It was determined that Matt Chevenel would work with that group to create something that would be put on the track. The athletic director at Merrimack High School was concerned about a big signage because of safety reasons. You don't want to say it's Memorial Field. You didn't want the track and Memorial Field. So it will be something either in the wall or on the ground, recognizing those people. And so Matt's working on it right now.
Yep, exactly.
okay, so we did, so at the
It's-
person
it's
has
so-
been selected
So
and
the
there's
main
no-
thing that this committee that we have to do is what we recognized through this whole process is when that policy was written in the 90s, it really wasn't written very well. And the confusing part is in the past, when someone came forward to name something, they had to wait a year. And so the reason for that was mostly because if someone had a heart attack and passed away, then everyone wants to name something. Well, he didn't do that. So what happened here was unprecedented, and that's why we kind of slowed it down for a couple meetings, did our due diligence. But what we recognized as a board is we gave you a policy that was poorly written. So we have to come back and rewrite the naming policy and then bring it to you. And I'm sure Lori Peters will do that in the fall.
So I would argue that we actually did adhere to the policy because the event, the way that it was written is that there is an event, and I believe we marked the event as being Mr. Snell's retirement.
Right.
And then it was post a year from that, and then we did the vote. So I think we probably
You guys
adhered
were
to that.
okay, it's just that
to the
what we
policy
did,
here.
when we went back, we realized all the confusion, and we were like, this is just needs to be rewritten, clearer, and, how it's gonna come forward.
Okay.
So, anyway, thanks, everyone.
So can I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
So it goes to this committee. We heard from the people that came in and presented. I was an observer that day. And people were in support of it in this committee. And then it goes to the school board for the final decision?
Exactly.
this is
So
not
in the
final
past, the
decision.
school board had all naming rights.
Okay.
But because it could just become an overwhelming event,
Yeah.
they said they would rather this committee. Now, the one thing that should happen, and the reason it's the year, is just like anyone else, we should do our due diligence. So we should have taken the references and made phone, like, you know, everyone should have made those phone calls to check, to make sure that it was, you know, correct, because someone could come in with 3 strong references. Is this what we really want? So that's what needs to be rewritten and stronger, like what do we want this committee to do versus what do we want the school board. The school board is going to, obviously, you have a strong presence on yes or no.
The other piece on that, if I can throw in,
Except for this.
because, and you were on the committee at the time when we did this, because I remember you,
We waited a year for Walt Hausman.
actually, we didn't.
It's not.
We did not, but it was from when he left here.
Oh, I remember waiting a year for Walt Hausman. I think we should go back and
took so long
check.
because believe me, that's part of why I was going through everything.
Yep.
But what ended up happening was that I think there were three requests all at the same time. And right now, the policy reads that you fill out the application and it goes to the Planning and Building Committee. And we say yay or nay, and then it goes to the school board, as we recommend. And I think you're right here, because we knew most of the people that were writing these letters, so we didn't actually call them. But I think Lori's right that we should have, because the application was submitted, it came straight through, and you all went here. And in the
You're
middle
making
of-
the recommendation, so you should do,
The
Yeah.
vetting.
Yeah,
Could I
sure.
chime in? I'm Matt Chivinell, by the way. I work for the school. I'm the hired help.
I've
Okay,
seen you
so-
around that.
See me around? Okay, good. Thank you. You'll be seeing a lot more of me, I'm sure. Now, with Mr. McGrath, Pat McGrath, that was an idea that came forward at the school board level. Now, is that now coming back to the Planning and Building Committee for their approval, or is it the school board level has made that?
school board has
has
final
say? So they have made the decision?
Yes, they
Okay,
can
I
make
just
the
wanted
decision.
to not do something that hasn't been, I know they approved it,
Yeah.
but I just want to make sure I'm going about this the right way.
And the fact is, we haven't had a request since, what was it, 2010? Because I know I put that in.
Right.
It's been that long, so we had to go back and find all of the material from when we did this.
Well, there was,
request.
when we built the middle school, the Pete Batula put up a petition warrant article to name it the Ronald Reagan Middle School.
But a petition warrant article is not a request. from
Yeah,
the
I know, but
public.
that
That's a whole
started the
different story.
conversation from my vantage point when I
it
started
absolutely
walking
is. I was
here.
gonna say that, it's not necessarily for this evening, but since you brought it up, that's
Yeah.
exactly what it was. It was a
Yeah.
political, you want it to be named after a
Yep.
politician, and
Correct.
some people were not so pleased about that. And,
Yes.
So how does the town do it? You just decide yourself?
honestly, we do have a naming policy, and I just don't know what it is right offhand. I can find out for the
Could
next
be in your
meeting.
town charter or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know if it was
So you just
that
name a
level.
bridge.
Well, see, that's
That was a
state's
federal
That's
bridge?
a state's
A state
bridge.
bridge.
Yes.
But, because there was some people who had concern about that.
I think what I have confusion about is that if the policy is the policy, even though in retrospect, you don't like how it's worded, the policy is that this board gets to make the decision. I mean, ultimately, you want to redo the
Decision and recommendation.
the recommendation.
different words.
Okay, so that's the key.
This committee
This
does
is
the
the
recommendation to the
recommendation. Gotcha.
board.
And they make the decision.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And the modifications of the policy we're looking to do is to add a vetting requirement at the planning building level.
I think it's
For the
define
naming.
the word event. That's the easiest way from when I said.
Well, we did that. We have done, we
You
did do that
defined
last
it,
time.
but put in the policy what the word event means. And in fact, Lori brought up Pat McGrath to his face here.
We didn't amend the
Right,
You
Yeah.
said it at this meeting. that-
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly, and people said, you know, Gage said, I understand that, so I just said at the school board meeting, is this something we want to look into too? And then Lori Peters did.
So,
So the ambiguity of that policy might be there for a reason, right? Because it allows us to use our discretion as to defining the event. So, I don't know, maybe it's something we want to not change since it gives us that flexibility with this committee?
and I'm not sure on the policy what it dictates, so I'm not gonna speak specifically to it. Just generally, it would be the school board who I would imagine would craft any type of policy that they would look forward to. And then they rely, and how it triggered, it would rely on the planning and building committee to scrutinize, go through, maybe call those people, and that's
Well, that's
talked
what, that
about.
was the whole point.
And-
The school board shouldn't have done that. Like, we did it because that night, Shane's like, well, let's just skip everything and we'll just go forward, and everyone voted, and it was over before it started. So when we
Before I
got to the
meeting,
board
it was
meeting,
quick.
we said, okay, we need to back up, but we're gonna have to now do that step. And then we just need to rewrite the policy so they know what they're supposed to do. Because they're making a recommendation based on that information. And it's really just because if we had a lot of recommendations, the school board couldn't do it. And that's what I think they thought at one point in time.
What's
And
gonna
then-
They had
happen.
3 at the same
Right.
time when they split
Right,
it off.
and then they
so
said, let's push it back.
And I think because you haven't done it for a while,
Yeah.
you know, it's a little rusty. You need some oil in the joints
It was
here.
very rusty.
And so you're just going through some growing pains.
It was
And
very
everything that the
rusty.
planning and building committee does is a recommendation to the school board. You're not dictating to the school board, you're making a recommendation to the school board.
But the substantive change here would be adding the vetting at this level here before we make a recommendation.
I think that was the intent to have the vetting done here, because you would want to
And
vet
that
it
would be
before
a
you made the
policy
recommendation.
update. Yeah, we'd
Yes.
have to update the policy to say, planning and building committee is responsible for vetting candidate and checking.
Well, that's what I said at the meeting, like, it wasn't anyone's fault, it's just that it was so rusty and they didn't know, and then it was all of a sudden, it was way gone before.
Stuff
we got to
happened and then we
say-
just kind of rode the wave.
And so then the board said, we're gonna hold and we'll do all that work, and then we'll come back and make a recommendation on the
So
recommendations.
the school board now, from here up forward, because it sounds like everything's been approved, we don't have anything back on the planning and building committee, so it's just a matter of the school board's gonna take ownership of updating the policy to some degree.
Right, so all policies go through the school board and they have to go through legal.
Yep.
So there will never be a policy written that our lawyer doesn't look at the wording, or, so even at a school board meeting, when you see us change a policy, if we change a policy, it has to go back and make sure what we're saying is still okay to say.
Do we get to see an edit before it's made official?
We can make sure that happens. I'm sure it'll probably happen in June when we start doing that work, but we'll definitely make sure you guys get an input.
Have a vote with anything that affects us, right?
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Thank you. All right, so JMU's traffic as next category.
Yeah, that was something that we talked about last time when we met. As you recall, we had, Tony, it was too bad you missed the meeting. It would have been nice to have your input. But we had STA here, Student Transportation of America. We had Rich Desmond here. Bill was here. Myself was here. Michelle Bancroft was here. And another gentleman from the bus company whose name escapes me.
Paul,
but
I think.
he was Paul, yeah.
I think.
Paul, yeah.
Don't know his last
Who was a former air traffic controller, so he knows a little bit about, managing traffic and keeping the planes in the sky so they don't run into one another. So the main issue was during the morning, when drop-off occurs, you have both buses and you have both parents dropping off approximately at the same time. And there was a big conflict of probably a little over 100 cars coming into the parking lot where the church is, and then intermingling with the buses coming in too, right on School Street. The area between the church and JMU's, that's actually a street. It's called School Street. And then it morphs into Bishop Street when you go around the corner when you see Master Cole Elementary School over there. So there's 2 streets. So the recommendation was, because the JMUs was dropping off like 2 buses at a time. They'd unload, they'd do a couple of cars, a couple more buses would come, they'd do those, they'd do a couple of cars. So it was kind of staggered, and it took forever. And so you had traffic backing up on McElwain Street into the church parking lot. You had traffic backing up on Babusick Lake Road and McElwain Street in both directions. And you also had traffic backing up on DW Highway and Babusick Lake Road, backing up cars to like Dunkin' Donuts. So every day at approximately 8:15-ish when it first started, that's when the swell would build. Then it would peak at around 8:25, 8:30, and it would take a while to get through there. So what their recommendation was is to have STA bring the buses in. You have to wait until 8:25 in order to bring kids into the school, because that's when the school day starts. So have STA bring 7 buses around, have them line up on School Street, unload them all at once instead of 2 buses at a time, which if you're doing 2 buses at a time, you can do 7 at the same time, and all the kids just herd themselves into the building. Then those 7 leave. You've got another probably 3 or 4, they're starting to stack up maybe on O'Gara Drive. And then during that time, you can let maybe 20, 30 cars go and alleviate the congestion at McElwain and the church parking lot right over here, and then McElwain and Babusick Lake Road, and then Babusick Lake Road and DW Highway. And so we did that. We ran it for a couple of days. We've run it ever since. And it seems to have alleviated the congestion. There's still congestion, because that's a problem that exists because we have a lot of parents dropping off their kids. That never used to happen when I was going to school. You never saw parents drop off kids. You either rode the bus or you walked, right? That was the way things were. Now things are a little bit different. But that change when we stacked buses up and we unloaded 7 at the same time, which really from a safety standpoint was just as good as unloading 2, and then brought in cars and moved them. I think it's gotten as good as it can get right now as far as alleviating the traffic congestion in that area. Anything else would require, we just don't have the land. You know, Finley joined us when with your grandson.
Yes.
Cute little bugger that guy was. I mean, we were having a grand old time. Anyway, so, you know, myself, Paul McCallie, Finley was there, his grandson was there, and we were looking at the traffic because I wanted to see in the town hall parking lot how it was doing on the street. And I had Desmond up at the school reporting back to me. So I think from that standpoint, I think we've gone as far as we can go without major taking of a field or something, which we know that's not happening in Merrimack. You're not going to take the JV softball field and create a bus loop drop-off. Not happening. So I think for now the problem is as good as it gets. We did do a survey of parents to see if they paid like a fee of maybe $300 to $400 a year, would they be able to drop their kids off at like 7:30, like earlier, just to get them out of the way. And we only got like 25 responses. So there wasn't a lot of responses and there wasn't a lot of interest in that. So I think for now, I think this is kind of a closed subject. I think we've gone as good as we can get. And you have to remember, the church parking lot, they allow us to use that for staff and to travel through. They don't have to. That's their land. So we don't really have any parking for the upper elementary school aside from through the grace of the church that allows us to do that.
Sorry, Matt.
Yes.
You have a question?
Well, no, I know that you were saying that that's kind of as good as it gets, but I also
remember saying at the last meeting that we could change the traffic pattern that parents use, and that I just suggested that we not do it until the beginning of the next school year because there's like a month left of school, and it took parents more than a month to be able to do it in the first place. And I know that it helped for the first like week, and I also know that that first 2 weeks after they didn't have band, so you definitely didn't see a increase in drop-offs on those Thursdays that I was talking about at the last meeting, how you have a long line. And I've noticed, because I have multiple parents who, my daughter's in the upper elementary, so I have a lot of friends whose kids are around that same age. And they, especially on those band days, have a very long line, and the traffic is still really backed up. I did get feedback that a lot of the people were uninterested in the doing the paying money when we already have the early morning. You have the before school program already
Run by
there.
the Nashua Adult Learning Center, of which they pay, I don't know, hundreds of dollars a week, $85 a week they pay for morning only. And you can
Yep.
start at 6:30 in the morning.
Yep, I'm letting you know why people of these ages, the parents are saying that they were, is because there's already, there's that opportunity already for people that are looking for it. A lot of the people that are looking for it, but also I didn't know why that wasn't something that we could consider for the start of next school year.
Consider what? Changing the traffic pattern, having them go up O'Gara, cut in front of the high school, come down
No,
McElwain.
I
go
never
around.
wanted anybody to cut in front of the high school. I'm saying if you just have the traffic of the buses are going, if they all exit out that way, then the parents are coming in, they exit in the opposite direction. We had talked about it, and then it was, well, let's just go with the bus, moving up the buses and see if that works. And I've been following it since then, and it helped for a little bit in the beginning, and it hasn't seemed to alleviate it since then. So it's still, I know that it's helped a little bit with
It was a
getting
lot. It was a
some
lot
of
better
the-
when I was looking at it this morning before this meeting. So
Okay,
it was a lot better than before.
I'm still allowed to give feedback
Oh,
and tell
absolutely,
you how
absolutely.
the majority of people that I've spoken to feel about it, and
Yeah.
are also sitting in that traffic. Now people are going down around to leave in the morning when they're trying to get out. If they drop off their kids, they're going all the way down at near Silva's Tire, or they come out out at Buckley's to go out that way to leave instead of coming back out down this street.
So they go down Bishop, and
direction.
instead of taking a left, they take a right. Then they take a left going down Woodbury, and then they'll take a right going towards Buckley's.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the destination they have to go to, then
No,
that's
they're just trying to avoid, then they'd have to come back around. They're avoiding sitting, because it's a long wait. You're sitting there for a long time to try to get out if you're trying to go either way out here when you're leaving. I'm not sure where I am
Yeah,
now.
I think you're all set.
But when you're trying to leave, even if you're going left or right, when you're leaving the parking lot, like say I'm leaving here, and if you're going left or right, you can't get out because cars are turning in, and then there's cars that are coming, and then some of them start to, they have their directional on, and you're like, oh, okay, you must be turning, so I'll be able to go. But the car behind them is gunning it because they don't want to wait any longer, because they just waited 7 cars deep to get down past the police station so they could, get through to that light. So it's still backed up quite a bit some days.
Anecdotally, I travel it most mornings, bringing 2 boys to school at the elementary school, and then I come out and come down this way, and that's where I get hung in traffic. I'm dropping off, like this morning I was there, they were the 3rd car in line, so at 8:25 is when they let them in,
Yep.
so about 8:20, it seems like the teacher's your mom occasionally, haven't seen her in a little bit, comes out to start letting the kids go in, and
But that's at the elementary, that's
Right,
at,
but
not
then I
at
leave from there-
JMU's, that's
no,
it.
but then I
Yeah.
leave there and I come over here, and occasionally I take Michael to school
Right.
over J Muse, but I've seen a significant improvement, though it's not perfect.
Yeah.
Today, look at that, it's an old guy thing, it was yesterday or today. There were 2 cars that I had to wait for, turning right onto McElwain as I was heading east. And that's generally it. It is not a perfect program. I'm not opposed to, maybe before the next school year, looking deeper into
Sure,
it.
that's fine.
I can't imagine, on the surface, I can't imagine what the correction would be to make it even better. But this is definitely better than it had been from my perspective of doing the trip. And my point was that we're not always number 3 in line. Sometimes we're at the last one coming into the parking area doing the serpentine route. So it fluctuates a 15-minute window when I show up, so I see it at different times. But that's my own anecdotal note that I've seen. But again, not to burn up any more time, but I don't think it's a bad idea if we can come up with other alternatives with a deeper look. It wouldn't be a bad thing. I just can't imagine what it is. You don't have to do that.
You're the chairman.
I just meant
Bang
yeah.
on the table.
So is queuing the primary issue of cars coming in with kids to drop off? Is that queuing is pushing out what causes a lot of the congestion?
Queuing pushes out,
So if you
and
were
the sheer volume of cars.
if you were to
does.
double queue space, would that alleviate?
They're
the
not going to allow.
intersection?
They're not. The church is not going to allow us to use the other lane.
So
in
I
the
understand that.
parking lot.
However, I've been in that parking lot a few times.
Mhm.
There are a lot of empty spaces out near the tail end of that parking lot. If one were to create a travel lane across one set of parking spaces throughout the center of that parking lot in the morning, you would now have 2 lanes coming in, and then you have them exit however you were doing that. You
So
double
the-
your queue space.
so the
but you
cars-
eliminate all the parking in one entire row of that parking lot.
So you would have 2 cars going side by side. You take a lane of parking and cone it
Cones
off.
off. You've got a second row, so you have 2 rows next to each other, cars queuing up to drop off.
Because that's where staff
That
parks, so staff would be
doubles
parking in
The
the.
amount of cars you fit in
Back.
that parking lot. Yeah.
So
That's
I'm-
something we can talk
But you
about.
eliminate the parking spots. I'm only mentioning
Yeah.
this because I've been in there a few times, and that parking lot never seems to be full. So if you take that entire row out,
At the
for
far end,
morning,
yeah, right.
and that might be something to consider.
Yeah, that's sure.
And I was just going to say, so just looking at insurance reasons for, I know in a lot of schools, they don't let people have double lines.
Well,
of
we don't do
traffic.
double buses.
And so I'm
'Cause
just.
we did that once and
would
it didn't
be
work
like a
out.
Primex insurance question.
Correct.
Well, and it's not necessarily.
But I'm not
for
saying
tonight.
it-
We're not-
Well,
You know,
it's
but I
it's
just
when they
said-
leave,
yeah.
right? So it's where they exit is where the cars are actually moving in any one direction like this. So how they're exiting now, we would have to manage how 2 cars exit
Right.
that way.
And
right?
again, I don't know that it's necessary to dig that deeply into the conversation for tonight, because this was just
Sure.
pretty much an update. But the difficulties when you have kids getting out a double set of cars, crossing over, it becomes a
Yeah.
potential nightmare.
Understood.
Well, that's
So-
why I said.
But we could, again, I think it's not a bad idea to spend an evening again going over
Think about it.
potential ideas.
We'll bring the same crew here that we had before.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with that
And then-
whatsoever.
And then Caitlin, it sounds like you probably would have some additional feedback for that conversation
Yeah.
too.
I can ask, well, actually, no, I will now have, my son will be in the upper for then too, so I'll still be in that school, sitting in that traffic to be able to give an update. But yes, I will still also talk to more people and see what they have said.
Sure.
Can I suggest it would be helpful if we had maps up on the screen that people might be able to talk about, I'm talking here, I'm talking there?
And like a pointer, so I could point to it.
So that would be a good idea, instead of everybody looking at their own paper. That would be
Right, if
a
it's
real
up
good
there and we
idea.
can see what you're talking about. Matthew.
Use your laser pointer and.
Yeah, I
that's-
can put
a laser
pictures up
pointer
on
would be
there.
great.
Sure.
I'd be
Dogs-
entertained for
dog
hours.
loves them, Yeah.
Okay. So for this topic, we would like to discuss more congestion relief options.
Yeah.
Right.
Sounds good.
at the meeting. Okay. Thank you. Next on the list,
Yep. Capital improvement.
capital improvement.
Yeah, could you take what you have in your packet and just forget that even
Throw it
got
away?
there? Yeah. I've got an additional one here. 1, 2, 3. Here, I'm gonna take
You stop right there.
Yeah, they're going around the other way. Yeah, this is just a really rough sketch. Usually we do this kind of in the fall, but we're here, so we might as well kind of take a look at it now. This is the latest version. It's a rough sketch, and that's all it is really to kind of start the conversation going. We kind of moved a roof out because normally we would have a roof in 26, 27, but we moved a roof out in order to put in doing something on O'Gara Drive. On O'Gara Drive, there were 21 potholes measuring probably 3 to 4 inches deep. The town was nice enough to come over and patch those potholes for us. I've had a lot of complaints from the public, a lot of complaints from parents of kids who drive in that area, and a lot of complaints from the transportation company as far as the condition of that road right there. O'Gara Drive is owned by the school district. It is not owned by the town, so it is not a town road. It is a throughput. The interesting thing is the road that splits what used to be the Red Building, Brentwood, and the Special Services Building is called Brentwood Drive. That is owned by the town, and it cuts right through our parking lot. So there's a few little,
I never do that.
yeah, there's a few little oddities that are going on, but that's neither here nor there. It's just that you come across some funny factoids, and that's a town road. So anyway, O'Gara Drive, I cannot recall when the last time that was probably paved. Has to be well over 30 years ago, I would say. Same thing with the sidewalks, same thing with the guardrails. We'd like to take the guardrails away. We'd like to build a sidewalk consistent with the town center committee's master plan of connecting Babusick Lake Road all the way up through O'Gara Drive, coming around to McElwain Street and doing that big loop. That's one of the things that the town center committee has been talking about and was hopeful that the school district could do, at least probably for the last 10 years. I'm on the town center committee, so I deal with Nelson Disco, and Finley's on there too, and you know, we've been talking about that forever. But I talked to Tom today. Well, we've been talking for the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks about this, and perhaps we could move a roof over that would put O'Gara Drive to be repaved. Maybe we could look at doing some lighting for aesthetic purposes, or put some more lighting on O'Gara. But, you know, the main thing is to pave it, put in a sidewalk with a curbing that's the right height, because right now you can just drive right up on that curb and there is really no protection. Kind of like if you're coming down McElwain Street. I think the berm, it's kind of a berm curve, and it's probably an inch. You can just roll right up on that thing. But this is kind of the main focus of next year. And of course, we've got the technology infrastructure improvement thing with switches and routers and servers and whatever that we have to keep and maintain, that we've been doing for a number of years. So those are the two main focus points for the CIP for next year. And then we go on with, we've recognized the fact that, you know, our furnaces are getting older and have never been replaced. The last furnace we replaced was Mastercola Elementary School. It was $500,000. It was probably 15 years ago, and it was, I think, an 8 million BTU unit that's in sections, that's pretty advanced and should last a while. But we're going to have to do something with the furnaces and the boilers that we have in our buildings. We also have to concern ourselves with the Merrimack High School gym floor. That cannot be sanded anymore. We can strip it and refinish it, but it's getting down to the point where you can't do another sand on it because the nails will start to show on the floor. And the tongue and grooves, well, the groove is okay, but the tongue that's overlapping is going to start to wear. So it's at the end of its life, and so that's an estimate out there. We think we can go a couple of more years with it the way it is. But, you know, certain people have posted some pictures online in the Merrimack Forum or the Merrimack Hub or whatever it's called now, showing some of the chips or whatever in the floor. And that's basically a lot of cosmetic stuff with finish and painting and whatnot that we can probably strip and redo. But the floor's going to need to be done again in the next few years. And so that's on the CIP too also. And then for regular paving, you know, it's been a while. We've got parking lots that need to be paved. High school lots need to be paved. Reed's Ferry Elementary School lot needs to be paved. Thornton's Ferry, the upper lot, the lower lot. Got a lot of pavement in this district, and we have a lot of roofs in this district. And, you know, we used to have a paving capital reserve account, which is gone. We used to have a roofing capital reserve account, which is gone. And they haven't been replenished, so we're going to have to get into the business of paving or saving for paving. But this is just to kind of put it on your radar screen that those are the major items that are coming up as far as capital improvements that we're going to have to do if we want to maintain things the way they should be maintained.
So, something that we put on here, we never get there, but I always like seeing it on there, is a number of years ago, and Pat could probably see the year, we had a number of parents who came into this meeting on turf fields and the money that we spend renting fields because our fields are never ready. So I know that it's not a priority, but I'd like to see it. It's something that we're thinking about, that we understand that I don't know how much money we spend renting fields because we are not able to get on our own fields because we only have limited fields. I know it's the town and the school district, and for years, probably 2010, had a fields committee that looked at all kinds of fields. I know that there are some fields on the town side that need to be developed. I know
There's a
MYA,
lovely report on 2013 that's on our website.
I know. So
Tim Tenhaven, the whole
I just
crew.
want to see
Yeah.
it there because I think we should always be visionaries.
It recommended probably an additional 20 fields be built or something like that, and we have built none of them in the 10 years or 12
We
years.
haven't built any of them.
Nothing. The only field we've gained is the VFW for girls'
Which is a nice
varsity
job.
softball field.
No, nice.
That came out really nice for a short amount of money. That was an excellent bargain.
So that was a great MOU.
Yes, it was.
For this committee that the girls softball team actually played down a hill next to a river with mosquitoes. There wasn't the correct room to even put backstops or dugouts. And so now they have a really beautiful field that they play on through an MOU with the American Legion. It's beautiful, so.
Yeah.
Lori, are you talking the field down the hill, the one down this hill?
Yeah.
Yes, the Raycraft Field that is, yeah.
That was actually built by, the Corps of
Yeah, the
Engineers.
Army Corps of Engineers, and it was a great practice field. It came out as a band and a practice field.
Yes, I know.
But when the track got built, the baseball and softball teams had to be displaced. So baseball went over here and softball went down the hill.
So Anthony, I know you were looking at.
Yeah, I do have a question, Matt.
Yeah.
I feel like I recall from the conversations last year, budget committee and everything, that the capital improvements for technology infrastructure was intended to be a 5-year plan. And it looks like in your most recent draft that got extended an additional year. We're going into year 6.
Yeah, we do 5-year plans all the time, but this is going to be a recurring charge every single year that you're going to be seeing in the budget. So
this thing that we've ramped up now, we plan to never get off of it ever?
That's what I would say, yes. once you make a commitment to technology in your school district, it's gonna vary. I mean, these numbers look fairly stable, but there are gonna be some years where it's gonna go down considerably, depending upon what is happening. But you're always going to be in the position of having to replace switches, routers, servers, storage area networks, SANs. A SAN will run you $100,000 because you need that equipment. We've got I don't know how many closets, computer closets
Now
that we have to do. So it's never going to go away. And plus, this is laptops for kids. This is the refresh cycle, so we keep the one-on-one computers for kids.
But we're currently buying into that, right? So we're
Yes.
buying into things we don't have. It says here replace. It's not replacements. In many cases, we're buying things new that we don't have. And then it sounds like in perpetuity, we're adding costs because then we'll have replacements and subscription
You've got
costs
a
and all of
certain
that.
amount of equipment that's leaving the district because it has gone through and it has lived its life, right? And then you're gonna have to have replenishment come on the other end. So that's gonna continue on. You're never gonna have a year where, okay, we don't need any computers, we don't need any switches, we don't need any routers, we don't need to redo any cabling, we don't need to do anything, we don't need to do anything
Yeah,
at
I get
all.
that there are recurring costs. My
Yes.
question is more in the vein of we're right now not some of these multi-million dollars in purchases are not replacing equipment that exists today. They're new investments and then drawing in new costs to go with them, subscriptions.
A lot of the new
true.
investments was an investment in the wireless technology that we had, so we could get good wireless. That came from COVID, and everything like that. And when you have one-to-one devices, you need the wireless technology. So we had to do a lot of cable runs, a lot of recabling of buildings. We had some buildings that were like less than Cat 5, so we had to recable a building for Cat 5. So you're always going to have something. But a lot of this is replacement. I don't see, as far as talking with Jason, I don't see a lot of new equipment. There's new equipment, but it's replacing old equipment that's no longer.
So like the one-to-one
feasible.
thing,
Yes.
is that new or is that we're replacing?
You're replacing equipment. It's new equipment replacing an old computer that's been with us for like 7 or 8 years. So that's what that is.
Hey, Matt.
But and this is just our best guess. It's gonna go up. It's gonna go down. In fact, in talking with Jason, it may be going down a little bit towards the next few years. But I don't have a crystal ball. with me right
Matt,
now.
do we have maybe 5 years of actuals as to what we've spent on the technology infrastructure? I would assume that maybe it ebbs and flows, kind of like a wave. Some years
Ebbs
are
and
high,
flows.
some
It didn't
are
ramp
low.
up until we hit COVID, and then there was the push to get the one-to-one devices and to get kids on computers, and the board had a goal to have a one-to-one school district.
So
Maybe 5 years. I could check. Yeah,
5 years of
absolutely.
actuals because it
Maybe,
might
yeah.
help inform us as to how those values started and how it's steady across the board.
Because
but-
before we got to
yeah.
one-to-one, when we had minimal technology, we spent maybe $100,000 a year.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
nobody had any
Right.
computers,
Right.
so.
And last year, this was talked about as like 5 years, you drop $1 million on it every year, and we're good. But now it's like, oh wait, but oh no,
Yeah.
there's another, and there's another, and there's another. And it was also talked about last year that, if the folks in the community don't want the one-to-one,
Okay.
that you'll get rid of it. And so,
Well, that's up to the
what's
the school board and the voters.
What's the option path
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, so the
How do you
facts
put
and
that option in front of voters?
Yeah.
facts and the data should inform the decision making, right, and inform the future state budget. We do that all over the place, where we
Yeah.
look back at actuals from prior years, and that helps inform how we set a budget going forward. So I think maybe it would help with some clarity if we kind of got to see that trend over,
Sure.
as
I'd be
long a
happy
period
to
of time you
see if we can dig that out. Yeah.
And if you might also, in doing that, Matt, see, with the one-to-one, how often does a kid get that a freshman year and
They use the
bounces out?
same,
And
yeah.
they keep it, and at the end of the senior year, the new computer's gotten for the next freshman class? Is that,
Yes,
That's
I
replacement.
believe it's, once you get one in the freshman year, you carry that to the end, and by the time you get to the end, that thing is dead.
Yes,
right, they're-
and so the big thing that school board members have is that, for safety reasons, we want the one-to-ones be our,
Sure.
school computers. And kids want to bring in their own, especially if they have nicer. But the problem is, it's, for us, we don't have all the safety on it, and so we're, that's what we're dealing with.
Yeah, what colleges usually do, if you bring in your own computer, you bring it to the help desk, right?
Right.
And then they usually put an antivirus thing on it so you can hook up into their network and everything like that.
Right.
And, the board chose to do one-to-one. Everybody has the same type of devices. It's
Right.
basically a Chromebook type operating
Yes,
system.
it's not real expensive.
Which is easy to manage, which is a lot easier to manage and easy to push up updates to. So, I understand that some kids want to bring in their $2,000 Microsoft, whatever the
Exactly.
heck they are, but this
Exactly.
is what we're doing for them. So there's always going to be purchase. You got a class of 350 kids leaving, those computers they're toast. So you're going to have to buy 350 every single year. So that's a recurring. But I can definitely get you a history.
That didn't fill you with confidence?
It just sounds, yeah, it sounds
Yeah.
little
you
different.
just want
Little,
to spend the money, so I understand that. It's a lot of money,
well,
right?
and it's like, I mean, it's a major financial decision, like, for the people of Merrimack, and it's like, they don't really have an option. You put it in the plan as necessary, and then it happens in perpetuity, bake it into the default budget, bake it into the regular budget, and nobody has an actual choice. And like, that's what's concerning to me. And I don't know how to make it look like it's a choice. I don't know how to give it to them.
Well, it's the school board's decision to have the one-on-one. I don't know the details behind it because I didn't pay attention. But, if there's an outcry to get rid of them, that's something they'd have to contemplate, I would think. But I'm curious if you could, when you bring these things forward of the past 5 years, if you could get an idea of replacements for the new freshman class, what the cost is annually on that, because that would break it out for these numbers, whatever they exactly mean. The rest of it is technology, but if we could know the standard that it's going to be annually, depending on the class size, I guess.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
If that's easy
Yeah.
enough.
And could I add one more thing? I know it's going to be annoying.
No,
Is it-
nothing here is annoying.
Is there any way to
Seriously.
get an average age of devices too?
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like I know in the corporate world, there's kind of parameters to how long a device should be really in population, and then they do these big waves where they're going and doing the replacements.
Well, I'm sure
So
if
a
you're
lot of it
working
has
on
to
the
do with that.
F-35 Joint Strike Fighter, you're not using a
Once upon a
computer.
time. I'm not there
that's-
anymore.
I know, that's right, yeah, but you're not using a computer that's 6 years old, right?
You'd be
So
surprised.
BAE has a replacement cycle.
You'd be surprised.
I probably would be. My
I-
wife works there too, so I see what she has to deal with, so.
I have two things. So I have last year's that you provided for us, and it had safety, security, and cameras on there.
Yeah.
Why is it no longer on there?
We did a lot with the grant. We got a grant.
Okay.
And so it didn't cost taxpayers anything.
So
And
that
so we did a lot with safety and security and lock sets and cameras and
okay. So
whole
that
bunch of stuff.
265,000 that was set aside. That was not set aside, but brain put aside was able to be covered with grants
Yes,
instead.
absolutely.
Perfect. Awesome. And that's great. So we don't foresee needing to do any more for the next. It had zeros all the way to 29, 2030. So I assume we don't see it needing anything.
Yeah, in order to
before
get,
then?
we had cameras in the operating budget. I think it was $212,000. And because our budget failed like it did last year and the year before, and I don't think we've had a budget that has passed that has been above default.
2 years.
Yeah, it was 2 years. The
Right, but
past
he's
2
saying it wasn't
years.
above-
Since the
It was- it
industrial
wasn't
and
above
commercial
default,
went down
right?
and residential
So
went up,
anyway.
we got in trouble. 2 years.
You look it up, Pat.
But
Okay.
Caitlin, going back to your point, it wouldn't be bad just to have a line, just like, because.
A placeholder.
Because There is a
But it's dropping
maintenance
below
thing.
$100,000.
Oh,
The
okay.
amount of cameras that we're gonna be buying next year, if we're going to not freeze that line in the operating budget. The board's already cut the certain amount of money, so it's on the, anything on the CIP has to be $100,000 or more, or it doesn't get in the CIP. You look in the statutes, that's what drive this,
Okay.
right?
Matt, this might be a good time to explain to Donna,
Then I can ask my last part.
right, what a capital improvement plan is, because so many people think it's in granite.
Oh, gosh,
This is-
no.
this
Oh,
is
gosh,
just
I'm
a
familiar
plan.
with it,
Yeah,
thank
this is
you.
just a
I-
plan,
yeah.
and not all of these things come up.
Exactly.
Never mind, and the
Yeah.
prices change, it's just
Yeah.
to keep people
Thank
aware.
you.
So maybe if this year the town isn't doing something, or
Right.
maybe the town is, then the schools should think about it, and water district. This used to years ago, but go before the planning board, and they prioritized, and we all had to have things in. But a lot of people think because it's on
yeah.
here, it's in granite, and it's gonna happen that year and cost this much, and it isn't.
Yeah.
I've been working in the Bedford School District for almost 20 years, and we do a sort of a hybrid program with the one-to-ones where kids can buy their own Chromebook, but, you know, you're not looking, I think this is more infrastructure. This is technology infrastructure.
Yeah.
You know, the Chromebooks themselves aren't the heavy weight.
It's not in this number, Dave.
No, it is.
The Chromebooks are in here, yes.
It's probably not the heavy weight of this number.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
What is?
Oh, it's not. I was gonna do a
The
quick
technology
lookup.
infrastructure is a room this size that has all the computer stuff in it with all the lights and the wires and the things that cost $1 million. Those are crazy. Those
So
are-
just upkeep of those things cost that much money?
the wires
Well,
and
when
the
you have to
switches.
replace switches and routers, they don't
Right?
last
It's
forever.
It's huge, yeah.
And when you have Cisco gear, sometimes the
Yes,
gear goes
right.
out of, Cisco won't support that version of
Right.
the switch or the router or whatever the heck it is.
Welcome to 2025.
So it's planned obsolescence,
Yeah,
right?
It is
Oh,
weird.
God.
right?
I think
Right?
that's where a device age is also relevant in the
Yeah. Right,
conversation, right?
exactly.
Because you really could be looking at a 3-year cadence or a
Exactly.
2-year cadence
Absolutely.
potentially for
technology
certain
engineer,
hardware,
I've
so.
just realized, and I'm not one of them. I know what a Chromebook is. Never had one, but I know what it is.
So I think we got that action here for one of the next
Yeah.
meetings to kind of go through some of the.
I
We have-
just
You
real.
know what I could
Some
do? I
details.
could ask Jason Pelletier to come here.
Okay.
He's the expert. I was just here when there was no network, and so we kind of built it up from nothing, you know? When I first got here, we had 56 K lines in each school. Didn't cost us anything. It was free, but we had no internet, we had nothing, you know? So over the years, we've developed an environment where technology, in keeping with what we should be teaching as an educational institution, needs to keep up with what's going on out there, or our kids are going to have problems in colleges. They're going to have couple problems after they get out of school, you know. So that's the main point. But yeah, I could get Jason here. We could talk technology till we're blue in the face. But
Okay.
we have done
Sounds
a
good.
lot.
Caitlin, did you have?
The last
follow-up?
one on this was when I was looking at it compared to last year's. We had O'Gara on here last year at this time last year. Why was there a reason that we are waiting for it to be like as bumpy? As,
Money.
but we're gonna have money next year that we didn't have
We moved a roof.
this. No,
to
I'm
give
saying
us a
the
slot.
year.
I'm not
before.
familiar with what we passed out last year and the shifting about. Did I have O'Gara Drive for this year?
Yeah, for 25,
For
26.
26,
Along
which is the
with
budget that
having-
we voted on. It wasn't in a warrant article, it wasn't on the ballot, and it wasn't on the ballot because we had an $800,000 roof, and we didn't want to stack on a $1.5 million warrant article on top of an increase in the budget. So it was totally money.
Does a thing like this have to be a warrant article, or like could you not?
It could be in
spend
the
some-
operating budget, but customarily with big ticket items like that, we've always thrown them up as, well, we haven't always. We have recently thrown them up as warrant articles so people can vote on it. So if you're a taxpayer and you go and you, after this meeting, if you zipping up and down O'Gara Drive, you know, and you hit the little natural speed bumps that are in there, you may think it's fine. So this gives you, the voter, the choice whether or not you feel you want to spend your money on paving O'Gara Drive. So that's why.
Oh, I I didn't know that we waited for it because it wasn't on the warrant article, so thank you.
Yeah.
I thought that it was like, on the list of this is already like, prepared for this one, so
Yeah.
I didn't know that it was supposed to be a warrant article.
It's kind of,
That's why.
okay.
If
All
I
right.
can, if I can for just 2 minutes, this draft one that says 1220, it was never approved by anybody.
That's right. So,
So whatever was here
Right,
may
she
have
just
happened.
understood that. She
Yeah.
just was asking the question.
Yeah, I was just asking if that was why we didn't do it back then. If it really was.
And if I can, since Matt asked when the road was built over there, do you remember the person who divided the parking lots with all the little
that was
chunks?
Scott Isabel.
That's when the last
That was
time
my
it done.
predecessor.
That's the last time that was done.
I want to get rid of the guardrails between the parking lots.
Absolutely.
I think it's a waste.
Shirley had such a fit over those.
I know.
That's when that road was built.
It created a nightmare for maintenance, winter maintenance.
It did.
Well, you need the plows just to get through and plow them, and I don't. It was done that way to
Slow
limit
kids.
the amount of speed on that road and on that area, and I don't think it's really kind of helped out. It boxes everybody into little kind of cubicles where they just don't need to be there.
All right, so just a quick time check, it's 8:05. Did we hit everything on capital improvement plan that the committee would like to ask about? Any other questions? You're good?
Like I said, we'll bring it back.
Yeah. Any
Definitely.
requests for more information? Because that's really what the list is growing here, for more information.
It'll grow.
Okay. Yeah. All right, so next on the agenda, upcoming meetings.
So we kind of go back and forth. We used to go Mondays, then somebody couldn't do Mondays, so we went to Wednesday. So it really just what you guys feel is the best day for you.
This committee
It can't be
used to
Thursdays, because that's
That's, yeah.
town council meetings.
This committee used to meet the second and the fourth Mondays, and Finley also has a meeting on the second Monday.
Right.
So, because there was a
Oh.
budget committee and 2 people are on the budget,
all
the
community
budget
center.
committee meets on Tuesdays.
Pat,
That's the second time she forgot tonight, I'm just saying.
so does everyone like Wednesdays?
I do. I like them.
I'm okay with Wednesdays.
I mean, we're all here, except
Yeah.
for Gina.
But that was the kid's fault. That's
Listen,
not-
we called it date
It's not
night for
Wednesday's
20
fault,
years,
it's the
so
kids' fault.
it's okay.
You guys have called it, yeah. It's
So
fine.
Wednesdays are a good time.
Does it
Okay.
meet twice a month? Does it meet twice a month normally?
Not normal.
No,
So
Does
what
it have to-
happens with this committee, and it makes it more difficult actually, is you meet as needed. So when we were trying to get the SAU building, and that became a real priority, then we had a lot more meetings. But it's as needed. You will have meetings in the fall leading up to the budget, because what Matt's gonna come to, the board is gonna do a goals meeting in June, and they'll start a vision. And then, and so some of this will get chopped and lopped or whatever, and then Matt will come back and say, here's our priorities, here's what we must do. If we do a warrant article, if it doesn't pass, we cannot spend the money. So I think what Matt was saying earlier tonight, we used to have capital improvement reserves. I think we should have a few of those, because if we had an incident, like just recently, a school had a classroom collapse, if that would've been in our budget, and we wouldn't be able to, can you imagine? So I think we should do a little more planning.
Yeah, that was in a district close to here, wasn't there, where the roof caved in?
I forgot, I just read it on my
forgot,
phone.
yeah.
It was like, here we go.
Yeah.
Amherst, wasn't it?
But I know it happened,
think
I
it was
know that,
Amherst.
Yeah, it was definitely close.
Pennachuck,
Pennachuck roof fell
the
in.
roof fell in.
Yeah, I remember
Yes.
that one.
That was a few years ago, but the whole roof collapsed, so.
So is that a
So
recommendation?
we book the second and fourth, we keep that on our calendar, the second and fourth Wednesday, but we don't always meet?
You don't always
Or-
know.
Okay,
If it would be better, we could say the second Wednesday, and then we could, Pat could try to do that. But
that's what we used to do.
she usually tries to make sure we're gonna have enough people here.
okay.
No. We used to book these dates and then as-needed dates. So we'd say we don't need to meet them. Yes, the committee has, and so, in fact, as I'm going through minutes, because I'm trying to put a lump of things together, we sometimes met 3 times a month, depending upon what the project was.
Okay.
But if there's nothing, and what happened, to be perfectly honest, is that, and Lori and I talked about, once the SAU, because we were so focused on doing the SAU and updating the plans and everything else that went on that, and when that didn't come forward, the committee stopped doing things. There are a lot of
Again?
projects. Well, there are a lot of projects that the committee used to do, because we used to do the inventory of the space uses inventory to see, every year we did that in the fall. We did a land survey, and we looked to see what properties were available and what we had, because I don't know how many of, well, the new members might be unaware of. I know Bucher and Timmins, Lori and Finley know what that means, but there's a piece of property that the school district owns at the intersection of Babusick and South Babusick that you probably didn't know.
It's
that.
40 acres.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
swampy though.
Huge piece of property.
It's swamp.
It's swamp.
But you know, one of the things that was recommended, Matt, is
Yeah.
that if we knew some of the properties that the school district owned, if there was anything that we could sell that would help, you know, when we were gonna go to new business, but since I'm already talking, so, one of the things that I did do is, you know, Fidelity is in Merrimack. I did write to Abigail Johnson asking her to help support the new SAU building. It was, you know, it was really a prayer, but believe it or not, Carolyn Soshaughnessy gave me a Zoom meeting and gave me a lot of time to explain our project. However, we don't fit for a couple reasons. One, we'd have to have 80% of our fundraising done. We don't. And Matt said we could get the exact, you know, so it would be a donation, but you know, that would take a little time too. However, I just wanted Abigail Johnson, since she's a billionaire, to, you know, just come in and drop a couple million, but that didn't happen. But we sent a very nice letter, and we tried.
You never know unless you ask the question.
Maybe she's watching this, and maybe she'll come back and give it to us.
Actually, it was intriguing because the woman Lori spoke with, Lori said, I'd like to talk to her directly, and she says she's hearing from you directly. So
She's
it
like,
was real,
because I sent it to her
not in
house
the
too.
conversation,
It was
but
very hard to
this was
find
a
her house
conversation with this woman
address,
direct.
but I sent it to the 2 Fidelities, and then I sent it to her home address, which was very hard. So she did get it. We tried.
Sorry, to kind of get us back onto the scheduling and the day of the week. Do we, Pat, would you like to maybe reach out to all of us on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays and get majority of which one works best? And then we lock that down every month that we plan to meet?
I mean, it used to be we had a year-long calendar.
Yeah.
And when the SAU, Rich stopped scheduling.
So if we just keep with the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of every month, and then we have the choice of who can make the one of those dates the most, right? And then we book that day and go.
As long as, if we're in the summertime, if we're out of the state, then that changes the game. But otherwise, normally Wednesday, if I have a meeting, I'll go to it. If, you know, because if we're in town, I can go to it, I make it happen. But,
Well, this
so Wednesdays work for me if I, you know, overall.
This will give us structure and a little bit of flexibility,
Yep.
right? So it's 2nd, 4th Wednesday. We get to pick which one it is going to be each month based off of majority availability. Yeah.
And that's the other reason for having the calendar, if I may, when you come right down to it, because for the school board, having its as-needed dates or for the budget, the school board took all of the Wednesdays in December. So you can't have it on Tuesday, and you can't have it on Thursday, and you can't have it on Monday, and there weren't any, that's why we didn't meet. The rest of this is there were no place, no space. But if I can set up a schedule, you want a 6-month schedule? Do you want a year? Till the next election?
Were we thinking that this would be a monthly thing where we pick the 2nd or
It's
4th
better to have a
Wednesday every
schedule,
month?
actually.
So if you put this together a schedule that had the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of every month blocked off, we then just circle the one that we're all gonna be here
Okay,
for. Yeah.
I can do that, and if you only answer to me, then there's no right to know issues, because I'm not a committee member,
Okay.
so I can send a schedule.
So as long as you can assess the population here, right, and who can support whatever
Okay.
Wednesday it is, yeah.
I will
Okay.
be glad to do that,
Thank you.
especially glad to.
All right, so I know next on the agenda is bylaw review, but I'd like to recommend that we all get a chance to read it and then maybe come back to the next meeting and talk about bylaw review, just so that we can.
Yes, and I just want to say one thing about the bylaw. So the school board member is a liaison. So Finley and I think we've been on this committee for 20-some years.
Yeah, at least.
So I was on this committee before I was on the school board. And then when I got on the school board and came to the committee, I never really thought about that the school board member was a liaison. So I brought it back to the school board and they said, you know, there's not a committee in this whole thing that the school board member doesn't get to vote. I'm only gonna be on the school board one more year, but I just think it's kind of, for me, I'd like to have someone look at, this started in 1948, Pat just gave it to me. So there's nowhere it says the school board can't vote. It just says there's 6 members and a school board liaison. So I just would like more information for the next person.
Yeah, see,
You know.
actually, that's the problem, is the bylaws don't say there's a school board liaison.
Doesn't say school board at all.
It doesn't at all say that there's a school
So
board
when did the
liaison
school board
anywhere.
liaison, so I know that all
I
the
think it
years
was a
we were on it.
courtesy, But I think it was a courtesy. And actually, one of the things I found is there's a letter, I mean, you and I talked about this, that they said, we don't want a liaison, so don't send one. It's hysterical when you go through, but if you're taking a look at, going back on the old reports, and this one is from 1954, there's only been the 5 members, they don't even talk about the liaisons.
What's the normal number of people on a committee throughout all the different committees?
Yes, that's the normal number.
So is this a large committee or
Small.
this is a small
Small.
committee?
This small committee. So
Actually,
like Parks and Rec,
for here in town, but
yeah,
I was gonna say
I'm saying like,
statewide.
town committees are huge.
Yeah, but statewide, it's frequently 3. There used to be 3 library trustees, 3 school board members, 3. So this was established as a committee of 6 by warrant article.
By the school board, though.
No, by warrant article.
Yeah, but because the school board wanted it, though.
That's true, but still, the voters voted it.
I'm
and
just saying,
established
the
it
school
as
board
6.
wanted to have this
6 is a
committee.
weird number
And
because
6
there's
is
no
a weird
tiebreaker.
number,
Yeah,
that's
it's
just
normally
it.
an odd number.
So I think you're right, the bylaws do need to be revised and just include the fact that there's a school board liaison, a voting school board
We
liaison.
do just make recommendations anyway, right? And we
Yeah.
make recommendations to the
No.
school board. So like, school board making recommendations to
Bylaws.
itself.
The bylaws are gonna have to go as a warrant article, because that's how they've been approved in the past.
So
There's a
to
warrant
change, to get the school board rep to vote, we're
That's a
gonna
change.
have to have a warrant article to change the
I think that has,
bylaws.
Yes.
Lori Peter said that she wants to talk to legal about this, because she thinks it's a legal issue.
So I'd like to take a peek at
I'd like to
the
send all of this
documentation
out
that
to
we
all of
have.
Well, you come in
That'd be
tomorrow,
great
we
for-
scan the whole
Yes,
caboodle,
we'll
and we'll
scan, I mean,
send them on.
because I remember Judy Brown standing up to,
And again, this is probably for the next person, not for me. But I think it's, you know, I go to all kinds of meetings and then I bring the information back, but every committee that I'm on, I can vote. And then I come here. So I never really thought about it until just recently, and I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense.
I will say, I think it's a,
So,
I
well,
found
some
it.
people, you might think I'm a double dipper
Well,
if I
yeah,
vote
I think it's
twice.
a little
I know,
strange,
you
like,
already,
the-
you already said that.
But yeah, the point of having the different committees is to have like the different committees, and so just spreading out the power of the one over the others is kind of like, what's the point?
I know in town committees, they're working for the council. And so having a voting member there has always made sense to me, because you want to tip it to the council side. I mean, ultimately, it's almost impossible to get volunteers, so it's not like you can.
Exactly.
your
It's
crew.
not like
It's
anyone's
not-
like beating the door
I know,
down
it's,
to come
it's
and have
unbelievable, but-
another vote, right? But it just,
Well,
So-
the reason I asked about the quantity, the number of people, is because it's about a weight. The weight of a vote, too, has an effect, right? A larger committee, each vote weighs a little less because you got a larger population of people. So I didn't know if this was like a big committee in comparison. So if it's a small committee in comparison, then that vote would really count even more as the weight, especially if it's a tiebreaker. So it just sounds like we want to do our due diligence through some of the bylaw work and,
I agree.
yeah, just.
Sure.
So do you need to table it till the next meeting, or are we just gonna put it on the agenda next meeting?
Why don't we add that to the bylaw review conversation, yeah? Pat?
So we have a school board meeting on Monday night, so we would not do anything before Monday night, but we could also ask the school board to start to look into it.
Yeah, I think for us, it's our edification and understanding of what the bylaws currently say. Obviously, people who are more qualified to make those decisions will make those decisions, so. Yeah. Okay. All right, and then Lori, I know you did the new business. Is there any other?
No, I
business?
already, the new business was, I jumped ahead and talked about Fidelity, so, because we were kind of there.
Any other new business for the committee here?
One last thing, if I may. It has been suggested that you might want an SAU email.
That
And
I might want an SAU
That
email?
each of you might want an SAU email.
All of us?
Yes.
Every member of this committee
Yes,
may
and
want an SAU
they're willing
email?
to do that for you. The school board has, it's not saying that they're published on the website.
What do you want published on the website?
So full disclosure, I was planning on responding to nobody outside of Pat's emails, and I was going to funnel everything through Pat.
And that's a
That
good thing to
would-
do, and generally
That's a good
speaking,
way
our
to do it.
emails
If
are
that,
just
if that
there's
works
gonna
for
be a
everyone
meeting.
else in the committee, yeah? Is that okay? So it's a little bit of telephone if we need to do email, but, you know, Pat, you're the one starting most of the conversations that we have anyways, right? So,
Okay, well, that's fine.
is that okay?
If you're concerned about right to know, which you should be,
Yes.
don't respond to the email to anybody but Pat.
Yeah.
Or one-on-one, don't make it a meeting, and,
Right, because
And the
then it
other
would be
thing
considered
is-
an illegal meeting.
I'm pretty hard
The
to get a
committee
hold of, so,
has a generic, if you want to contact the committee,
yeah.
you send it to one person, and right now, I get it and the chair gets it.
Okay.
And it's been the responsibility to forward it to everybody else.
So if you want, if we can keep with that approach, that would be good.
well, they're not a quorum, the two of them together.
Yeah, we're not quorum.
No,
They don't talk.
So-
They don't talk
There's a
about
time-
it.
Trust me, this stuff isn't topic of conversation.
Oh, it's a good-
Oh,
They
come on.
just can't talk
It's,
about it.
it's
I-
just,
I
I'm just
get it.
questioning whether or
Royce says
not
it's date night,
some
but
of
this is
the,
killing me.
Finley can't
Well,
wait to be done, I
in
will
the
let him.
distribution email,
No, I
everybody
think he
should be
brings a
included.
lot to the
Whatever
committee.
Pat's sending
I'm
out,
telling
we
you,
all
it's
get that
been-
email,
I
right?
bet at least 8 years, I'm going, I'm not gonna run again. She's going, you've gotta run again. But she was always up for election the year after me, as I remember it. And so now I'm stuck for 3 years, and she, you know, I'm going, Lord, you're killing me. can
I
do-
would like to know the year we started on this, because
Well, you know what started me in this, not to lengthen a meeting, is they wanted to build the new middle school, and I was opposed to it. And so I said, I gotta get in that damn planning and building committee, and so I did, and the middle school passed the same year. So now I was doing sidewalks and traffic patterns, and so,
And they haven't built the new school since.
no, they did build that school.
no, we
since.
did.
Oh,
build
since,
it.
yeah,
Since.
yeah.
There hasn't been a new school for you to be able to, speak
Hey,
about.
and that took
Yeah,
3
that's right.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many times did we, everything that's been for the school, we have recounted 3 different times each time.
So if I may, I'd like to do a quick recap of the things we discussed, just really broad, and then maybe a motion to adjourn. So approval of minutes, approved prior minutes. The facility naming request, we have no action of this committee. The action's with the school board to evaluate the policy and make adjustments that are appropriate. JMU's traffic, the committee has requested some additional information and additional conversation about traffic flow opportunities. The CIP, there was additional information requested, particularly around the technology infrastructure, looking at, 5 years of actuals, average age of device, that kind of thing. And then from a meeting standpoint, we're going to keep it with the Wednesdays, targeting second and fourth Wednesday of the month Pat will send out an email asking for our availability, and then whichever one has the most availability, we will lock in. And bylaws, we are going to consume the bylaw information, and then if, Pat, if you're able to send out the additional information about the liaison, we'll be able to consume that, and then if we could add that to the agenda for the next meeting, that'd be great. And that's all I had. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. Somebody's gonna adjourn.
I want to make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay. Is there a
I
second?
second.
Okay.
Okay.
So then,
Now you
we're
can
ju-
vote or you can declare. Pick your pick.
shall we vote? Let's vote.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
vote.
All those in favor? It's time.
Unanimous.
Okay.
Oh, I don't get to vote.
You can vote to adjourn.
Just don't count.
Vote, just don't count.
I'm always raising my